magical, amazing day. Actually, an amazing week for one reason and one reason only.
It's a great pumpkin.
Well, that. But the Miami Heat are 1-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Boston Celtics. And that is all that matters right now. I know this is an MMA podcast, but that's all we're going to talk about today is the Miami Heat. So we're going to break down keys to winning game 2 and where your thoughts are on Eric Spoelstra. So I'll let you take it away and we'll just go from there.
I'd just like to give praise to Allah.
Interesting.
For it's a fight week in Kazakhstan, where the hell, or Chechnya.
Chechnya?
No, yeah, Kazakhstan, is that where Khamzat's from?
No, Khamzat's from Chechnya.
Chechnya, yeah. They're, I just feel they're Muslims, right?
I assume.
That's what Allah is.
Bordering on it. Well, yeah.
Okay,
Allah,
okay.
yeah. We're bordering on some serious cultural offenses here.
Yes.
Where we just assume they could be Jewish.
They could.
They could all be atheists. But yeah, no, we're not going to talk about the Eastern Conference Finals. We're not going to talk about the Miami Heat. But I'm in a very happy mood because they won. My Hurricanes won. The Dolphins exist. That's about it. They're probably not going to win anything.
Thing.
But here's the thing. So long as the Dolphins keep losing, Tua. He's going to come out.
We're tanking for Tua?
We're tanking for Tua. I need Fitzgerald to throw 4 more interceptions and then boom. Or Fitzpatrick. Anyway. Let's talk about fighting.
Fight week.
This is a banger of a card
banger
on Saturday.
For free.
For free.
Yeah, you don't even have to break out the day's pay. What are they, like $80 now? 70, 65
Oh
bucks?
My gosh, they're so expensive.
They're creeping up there. The UFC just acts like pay-per-views have just always been the same price, but no, I remember they used to be $50, and I remember thinking like, dang, $50 is a commitment,
Yeah, now we're paying like $100 to see this stuff.
It's like on a month where there's 2 pay-per-views, which I know they typically stick to 1 a month, but it's like 2 pay-per-views. It's like, dang, I could have paid for a month of jiu-jitsu at this point. Like, dang, to watch 2 cards, but hey, it is what it is, and
I could have paid my bills.
Yeah.
Right. But talk about this card. Why is it so good? And why are you excited about it? And why is it really so far? I'm trying to think. It might be the best deal the UFC has given us in terms of that much talent on just a fight night, a regular old fight night.
Yeah. Really, you try and think back on what free fight cards we've had that have been this high level, and every now and then they would give us like an obscure title fight for free. They would give us like a Dillashaw title fight on there, a Mighty Mouse title fight. They did Cain Velasquez versus somebody for the title for their first free event on Fox, I believe it was, to like kick off Big Fox.
Okay.
So they've done some big stuff on free TV, but this one just seems a little different. This one is like a deep card that they stacked like a pay-per-view. And the main event really is obviously the top of the show, so that's what we have to build the card around in Colby Woodley, Colby versus Woodley, which is a huge rivalry that's been brewing for years. I want to get into with our first topic in just a second on the timing of that. But yeah, just with that at the top of the bill, and then you look the main card down, each fight has a name that like you genuinely care to see fight, for better or for worse, each fight has a real dog in the fight that's going to get like your inner casual fired up. Not only like do we have some really fun stylistic things on this card, we have like it's a mainstream card that appeals to the hardcore and the casual, and it, from top to bottom.
There are names on this card.
Yeah.
Johnny Walker's on this card. Like Johnny Walker, if he doesn't lose to Corey Anderson.
Yep.
If he doesn't lose to Corey Anderson, like Johnny Walker right now is being talked about to fight John Jones. Like he was honestly.
I'd say John was most excited about Johnny. It was the only heavyweight contender he was really like, giving some praises to from such an early time. We had never seen John really like have his eye on somebody coming up. And he started to give Johnny the praises, but
yeah, he's nasty, and I think that he can bounce back from that loss that he had against Corey. That was an interesting loss.
Was it? It was 2 losses though.
He lost twice?
It was the loss to Corey, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look that up while we're talking about it.
I think didn't he win his next fight?
I believe he got out grappled then again after the Corey fight. He had a bit of a slower fight where he got out grappled.
He didn't get finished though in that second fight.
Right, and if I'm not mistaken, he's coming off of back-to-back losses. A unanimous decision loss to Krylov, like a Russian, Ukrainian guy. But yeah, that guy you fought was a stud, but
I think he bounces back from all that with one very impressive knockout.
Yeah, I think that could definitely reignite the hype train, which is something we'll get more into that fight specifically. But let's go into that one. Actually, we'll put the main event off for a bit because everybody's looking forward to that. But this Johnny Walker one, while it is on the brain, it's like it could go one of 2 ways. If we get like one more loss out of him, it's gonna be like, all right, that was like a flash in the pan. He was like Uriah Hall, who has like a real flashy entrance to the UFC, but then once they really crack that top 15, they're just no longer effective once you get against guys who just have no fat on their game, really. When you first make it into the UFC and the guys you're fighting maybe aren't the best, or they have, their skill set, but they still have, a lot of fat in their game, their techniques maybe are sloppy, you're just able to beat them to the punch and really look good and crisp, or, there are different looks that you get entering into the UFC that you're just not going to get once you reach an elite level. Yeah. It's why Dana was saying, like, shooting down Garbrandt versus O'Malley. He's like, no, we can't give Sean the Garbrandt fight, because what if he beats Garbrandt? Where does he go from there? Only the top guys now. There's no guys to, like, progress him with. You have to fight killer after killer at that point. And it's like
true.
It's really easy to have that magic until you get to the point where it's time to see if you're real or not. And a lot of people have that magic and you haven't even heard of them yet, and it takes them beating a real name. Like for instance Darren Till beating Cowboy back in the day. Yes. It's like Darren Till had some impressive UFC wins, but until he beat Cowboy, you didn't know who he was. No. He was fighting on the early prelims, so it's like you just didn't hear about those impressive performances. So now Johnny Walker, it's a little different because he's a light heavyweight. So he's in one of the marquee weight classes that when you do create a spark at one of those weight classes, it creates a buzz a little easier.
So the bigger guys, or the talkers, that get like the casual fans really excited.
Right. You see a guy like Francis Ngannou, to bring up Cody Garbrandt again. You have a guy like Cody Garbrandt and Francis Ngannou who had similar rises in the UFC, but it's like Francis is just like this thing that you can put on a poster and it's just like, oh my God, look at this knockout artist. It's like there's something just to those bigger marquee weight classes than there is to the lighter guys. Obviously they bring a technical
Cody
edge lighter.
With the tattoos though.
Yeah, like the tattoos. Really Cody,
it's like, look at this guy. He's like, why is he on the streets?
Yeah, but in seriousness, Cody does have a real look and character to him that does, make him a star.
He's like I don't know if he's the last, but back in the day, the Affliction shirt wearing type of vibe that fighters had, like Cody has that vibe, that old
stand and bang, bro.
UFC Unlimited, like or was it Unleashed? What was it back in the day that you would have? They would do like countdowns of the best fights or the best whatever.
Yeah.
Those kind of shows where like when it was on Spike.
Yeah.
Like Cody Garbrandt is still in the Spike UFC
for
era,
sure.
Like 100%.
For sure.
And it works.
Yeah, he's like just evolved past Pride.
Yeah,
Like
he's
if there was soccer kicks and head stomps and stuff,
Yeah,
like
he would still
Cody
just-
could very easily devolve to Pride.
he would still just use his right hand.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He would recognize all those weapons that he could use, but
Yes.
he would still just stand there, look, load up, and throw his right hand.
Yeah.
Thank God he's over that. Or at least it appears like he's over that.
I mean, yeah, you say that, but how did his last fight end? Literally,
I know, but
I
know, but the fight all the way up to that point.
No, for sure. He was
moving
more
really
calculated, and he got that guy in that
The
position.
losses look so bad because 15 seconds prior to him getting knocking out, they're literally looking at each other, punching, looking at each other.
Yeah, just in the pocket trade and just or like him versus Dillashaw.
Yeah.
So specifically in that second one, like there was a couple sequences where he got really hurt in the last like minute and a half when he fought Dillashaw. But there was one specific time when they're in there trading hooks, and you can just see Dillashaw is boom hooking, bringing it back to his face, hooking, bringing it back to the face, and Cody's just hooking, and they're like trading hooks, but they're on Dillashaw's guard because he has a clean game, and then Garbrandt's just and then like 3 hooks into the trade off. Boom! One of Dillashaw's just catch Garbrandt and drop him.
He's just like, I hate you.
Yeah, and TJ just ding, ding, ding. And
is that the worst loss though? Because nobody, I know, I did not want TJ Dillashaw to win any of those fights.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not on the. I don't care about the whole thing. I know we're going away from this point.
Yeah,
as we tend to do.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm not talking about the whole beef or whatever because nobody knows what that happened except the people who were there. Whatever we know is what they tell us.
Right.
But it seems like a bunch of high school nonsense to me looking back. But just his general unlikability, TJ, and Cody is like himself and abrasive, but he's so genuine that it becomes a little likable.
Yeah.
You know, he's like he's like a high school kid sometimes in terms of his temperament, and that literally anything can set him off. He just has the easiest, the smallest fuse in the world. But it's like, it's likable though. Like, he's a good guy outside of this. Like, what the things he was doing for that.
You can tell he has a good
kid.
heart. You can
Really,
tell he's flawed, but he's a
Yeah.
good guy.
Yeah.
He has good intentions.
Right. TJ, I don't get the same vibe. TJ seems like a guy that's cool, but the way he talks is very arrogant.
Right.
And it's not like build the fight arrogant.
Right. He's like very self-centered and built himself,
Yes.
whereas Cody Garbrandt's like ready to like bang for his gym and shit. Like shit that isn't even real. Like how people will just fist fight over some girl they've been dating for 2 weeks in high school. Like that's still Cody.
But who do you want on your team?
Oh, for sure, Cody.
You know
No doubt.
Going to bat for you. TJ's gonna be like, I don't know, bro. I'm just looking. Or you want Cody, who's not gonna ask questions.
Yeah.
He's just gonna headbutt whatever you point to. Just go headbutt that.
Right.
And he'll do it, and he'll be like, damn, that's a real one.
Yeah.
He didn't need a concussion for that, but it's a real one.
Yeah. Well, getting back to this week's card. So yeah, just to close out on that Johnny Walker fight, I think Ryan Spahn has some real good striking and could give him issues. So now I'm curious to see, because they're similar frames. We've seen Johnny Walker being such a long, rangy fighter, you know, like a John Jones type frame, but even more like freaky, twitchy athleticism.
Very twitchy.
So it's like, what's going to happen when we get him against a similar frame that also has like some good Muay Thai and hands? So I'm very interested to see how that plays out. But
could be a good win for Johnny.
For sure. I was about to say, that being said, it's not a grappler. So we're going to get to see him in a striking match, which so far we've seen that go well for him. I mean, other than the Corey Anderson fight, but I think there was a little more to it than that.
I mean, he got caught.
Yeah, but I think he was like factoring in a lot of other risks against Corey Anderson and wasn't expecting what Corey did.
Right.
Now he's walking into a kickboxing match, you know, so it's a little different. Whereas Corey, you expected Corey to come in and just grind him out, but Corey just came in, ding, ding, you know, like cracked him with some good, clean punches.
Heist completed for Corey.
Yeah.
He just walked in there and...
Yeah, hit the lick and ran off to Bellator. Scott Coker pulled up with the getaway car, said, let's take that hype and get out of here, kid.
Bro, it's crazy, though, how Corey Anderson beats Johnny Walker, who had so much hype, and yet got zero hype.
Yeah.
Like, only Corey Anderson.
Only Corey Anderson could take that and turn it into no hype. But at the same time, you look at it and it's like...
I mean, I was hyped, but general public was not.
Same thing. I was going to use another example as of recent is Cheeto Vera. He's not getting any mainstream love because he just beat the Golden Boy, you know?
I love him.
And I love Sean O'Malley, but I can still appreciate and love the Cheeto Vera win, you know, because I actually am a hardcore fan too and not just a blind casual. But definitely the casual in me for a second was like, oh, dang, Sean lost. But then you have to look and be like, well, Cheeto is legit and, you know, I like this guy. He's a real guy.
You know, I'm about to... Did Conor McGregor create the casual fan?
No. I don't think Conor did. You don't think so? I don't think... Who did? Ronda Rousey.
Oh, so it was Ronda.
Ronda.
Before Conor.
I think Ronda created the McGregor era.
Okay, but they both were kind of at the same time, though.
Ronda got everybody real delusional. Ronda had everybody thinking she was Mike Tyson of this sport when she wasn't that good at MMA. That's a huge overstatement. Ronda is elite at MMA, obviously. But, you know, in terms of the big picture, and there were, like, he didn't get a lot of the love for it, but back in the day when she was at her absolute peak, Demetrius Johnson in press conferences was saying, like, yeah, you know, like, when they would ask him about Ronda, you know, it's like when Conor was around, they would just ask everybody about Conor in their press conferences. But Ronda had that same thing. So they were asking Demetrius about Ronda, and he was just, you know, kind of candid and was just like, you know, she does what she does really well, but other than that, you know, her game isn't the most evolved. Women's MMA is not what men's MMA is. You know, it's not as... technical, especially then, 10 years ago, or not 10 years ago, 5 years ago. So it's like in that 5 years, women's MMA has come a long way.
Has it?
Such a long way. You see like Zhang Wei Li versus Joanna and stuff, and it's like, what am I watching?
Imagine Ronda fighting those girls.
Right. It's like Ronda isn't there with the tech. Like, you see what happened when she fought Amanda Nunes. You know,
but is it dominant and winning, but also beautiful woman? It was all that. Everybody was getting... If
that's a thing, like, I guess you're saying the blend of dominance and beauty. Because I was going to say, she's not the most beautiful. Ronda definitely was beautiful, but, like, she had her shots when she's dolled up and looked like a chick. Ronda's beautiful, but, like, sometimes Ronda just looks like...
No, but when you look at like Medusa and you turn to stone, was it that, or were all the fans hypnotized by the Sports Illustrated?
Yes.
By this, and then it was also this, and so it was like they fell in love with this character.
And it was the quick finishes.
Yeah, very quick. Yeah.
How fast they were. It had like that Mike Tyson-esque to it, and Ronda had that real bulldog face on her and stuff, and like seemed like she was bringing anger and rage and channeling that into somebody. So it had like the Mike Tyson vibe to it, but it just got everybody real delusional because they didn't realize...
Joe Rogan was very delusional.
Yeah.
He has to go back and correct that.
They didn't realize how many holes she had in her game and how exposed she could get in a matter of 2 fights. Ronda went from that to back-to-back losses that completely derailed all that hype. And it's like... that delusional time right before she took her losses is when Conor like hit the rocket boosters and just like broke out of even the stratosphere that like she had reached. You know, he like took it even just into outer space. Conor took it to another level.
So they both created. Ronda did first. She made the way, and then Conor carried the mantle. But casual fans are a new thing, because back in the day, I remember when I was watching. Like, the most popular fighters were the technical martial artists. GSP, John Jones.
Yeah.
Like, these guys were popular because they were technical. People were talking about how good their techniques were.
Chuck Liddell fans.
Yeah, but Chuck Liddell was knocking people out.
Right.
And he had the mohawk.
Right.
So it was like, but those weren't Chuck...
Chuck Liddell is the soul, like, is the spirit, the soul manifested of a casual fan.
That's so true.
Look at Chuck Liddell.
He literally looks like
a casual looks fan. Like a Pride t-shirt.
Yeah, but early on, in that era, like, Chuck Liddell, I mean, he was champion, you know, he was, you know, dominant, and the fighters at that era, outside of the jiu-jitsu guys, like the techniques weren't as good as they are now. They didn't look nearly as good. Like when you go back and watch those fights, I'm not talking about like.
But you had some technical guys on the scene back then.
You did.
But Chuck was like the one that the casuals would like they were just like magnetized to Chuck. So I think there have been casuals. I think Ronda and Conor blew the roof off of it because Ronda got everybody in this delusional state where they just didn't even know what they were watching. They were just riding a hype train. Like people literally at that point, even 5 years ago, knew less about grappling. So it's like they didn't even know what they were watching with Ronda. They were just like encapsulated by the hype. Right. And then like Conor comes in while the hype is still real, and it's like takes it to a whole nother level, and they're just these two unicorns running the fight game. We go from like the GSP and Anderson Silva era right to Conor and Ronda Rousey. And it's like skill for skill, Conor and Ronda Rousey and GSP and Anderson are not comparable. No. GSP and Anderson are so well-rounded and dominant.
They might be on the Mount Rushmore.
Both. 100%.
Crazy.
100%. And Conor for his own right too, and Conor I think is more in the category of those two than Ronda is. Oh, yeah. But
it relates to Johnny Walker though, because I think that Conor and Ronda, and I think those are the fighters, specifically Conor, that have made fans obsessed with this meteoric straight line rise. Mm-hmm. So Izzy, all these people have this plan, and when it gets derailed, fans are very disappointed because they view a loss as completely detrimental to that streamline. Because Conor went like this.
Right.
He took no L's until Diaz.
The thing is, with MMA, he had an imperfect record coming into the UFC, though.
But not since his hype started.
Right, for sure. Once once America got exposed to him.
Exactly.
Because, it's just weird when you see that dynamic. It's definitely not what boxing is, where you have guys who are literally like trapped to their undefeated record, where they literally can't even take fights because it threatens the numbers on the stat sheet. Like the tail of the tape, people don't care what somebody's record is. Like in MMA, you care about the reach just as much as you care about the guy's record. In boxing, that is not the case. Like in boxing, it's like, oh, this kid's 36-0 with 21 knockouts. Oh, this kid he's fighting is 37-3. Like
I don't like boxing. I've come to decide I don't like the sport of boxing.
Right. There are boxing fights when you could tell, like when there's something special and you have two real fighters going at it these days, and it's like, okay, that's when I'm a boxing fan. But just the sport of boxing, not a fan.
And the whole marketing around boxing, the
I take that back. Not the sport of boxing. I don't want to discount the sweet science.
We like the sweet science,
right?
Because how could we not? But the when I say the sport, I'm referring to like the organizational imaging around boxing.
Yeah. Promotional.
I'm talking
structure.
When I say I hate boxing, I'm not saying I hate and that would be equivalent to me saying I hate the UFC. I don't hate mixed martial arts.
Right.
I hate this organizational thing behind it and the way it all. I don't know, just the way it is. Like there's this attitude, and boxers are a little arrogant. They have to remember that in a real fight against stop challenging MMA fighters to fights.
Yeah, you have to remember you're playing a game. You're playing a game.
Yeah, you're just playing with each other. It's fun. You guys are fighting. You guys are fighters. You guys are warriors. Do not get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But you've never simulated death, real death. You've risked death because you literally hit yourselves in the brain.
Right, and there are more deaths in boxing, and 100%. You got to be respectful of that.
And it's more so because of the strikes, the consistent strikes to the head is not necessarily.
It's due to the unrealistic nature of the sport.
Correct.
If it really was more fight-like and less game-like, and they didn't take people's brains just like a soccer ball, boxing treats, the brains of these two guys like it's just the hockey puck or the soccer ball, Whereas like MMA, at least it's like this guy's skills versus this guy's skills, go. And it's
when the guy wins, they don't give him 10 seconds to stand up.
Right.
The guy won.
Right.
If the fight would have continued with no referee, you would have died.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah.
I feel like most boxing matches, the first knockdown, it would have been over in a real fight. So what's the point of continuing, Anyway, I have derailed us so far.
I think that was a good. I like the hype derailment we went on to. That was a good one. yeah, there's another thing I want to derail us with in a bit. But
Excellent.
first, let's get back into this card a little bit and go over some of these other fun fights. All right, so yeah, I'm going to save that one. That's the one I'm most excited for. We have Kevin Holland fighting on this card. I'm not sure
I gotta be honest,
how familiar you are with him.
I'm familiar with him because I've seen a lot of MMA meme pages post about him. Because apparently this guy's super popular with the meme pages. I don't know why. But I have not watched. I have not watched him fight. So I don't know. Maybe it's just this one meme page that has a connection to him. Maybe the owner of that meme username is like friends with him or something, because always this one page calling out Kevin Holland every time. I don't know anything about him, so I'm a little bit uneducated in this, but I'm excited to see him fight because I've been hearing his name.
Yeah.
And I think I've yet to see him fight.
He just fought like 2-3 weeks ago.
Was it on the main card of a pay-per-view? Because then I might have seen it.
I don't remember what card it was on, honestly. But he was using like the Philly shell style, which is cool because I trained that and like that style a lot. And you
Philly
don't really
shell in MMA.
Yeah, which I use, but I haven't seen anybody use it in MMA really.
Wow.
So I was really surprised to see it and excited because I had actually just done like a private boxing session that week on the Philly shell. So it was real cool. But yeah, he doesn't have that many layers to his Philly shell, but he used it. But yeah, with that being said, he has some good skills. His UFC debut was against Thiago Santos.
Damn.
Yeah, and he is a 170 pounder, and Thiago's fought John at 205 now. So he made his debut on like 11 days notice to just like fill in because Thiago's opponent fell out, and he went the distance way undersized against Thiago, and that's like what got him some buzz, was taking a loss and a beating, but like a very impressive one, and he gave him some issues, you know. And then he went on to have some success and fight between some different weight classes in the UFC. But yeah, he's a character. He's always trying to like play off the trends and stuff like that. His last fight was like right when the Baby dropped his last album, and he was like bringing that up and stuff in his post-fight press conference.
So he's hip with the internet.
Yeah, he's he said he gave up blunts a few weeks before the fight, which I was just like, damn, this guy is, you know, it's just like, I get the smoking of weed, especially in like the fighting lifestyle, but it's like smoking blunts. I feel like to be that high of a level athlete, you had to have given that up a long time ago. But yeah, I don't know. He has a lot of skills and fun things about him. I don't see him being a champion one day. I don't see him having just all the intangibles, but he has some fun layers to his character and game, which are going to be fun to see because, you know, he could rein it all in and, you know, make it into something special.
Sure.
Because he has a lot of physical attributes. But, yeah, he has a tough fight on his hands this card, but, you know, I think this is a fun card because we have a lot of guys who are on the way up, you know, but we also have some guys that are big names but not really on the way up. So it's going to be fun to see if he's going to be one of these stars that continue to rise. And that brings me to the next one, which is Mackenzie Dern. And, you know, is it either her first or second fight back since her pregnancy. Second fight back. Jiu-jitsu world champion. She's an absolute savage. MMA is evolving, you know, over the years.
And she really is the story of two accents.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I hate to be a hater, but you got to go watch the evolution of Mackenzie Dern's. It goes from straight California, born and bred, like Cali voice, like the most American voice you could have, like a California voice, you know?
No trace of ethnicity.
Yeah, like, so she goes from having this just little cute California voice to all of a sudden now she sounds like Vanderlei Silva.
Oh my God.
She went from Uriah Faber to Vanderlei Silva.
Wow. Is that the greatest leap in the history of just humankind in terms of changing your whole persona?
Yeah. literally the shape of her mouth has changed though, and the like from living in Brazil, I've realized like our voices just don't make the same sounds that they make in Portuguese, like in Brazil, and I've noticed that her literal mouth has changed shape. Like the look.
I mean, man, maybe she was spending so much time in Brazil, she just like. That seems crazy to me.
Well, she moved to Brazil when she was like 11 or something because her dad was like going back and forth for jiu-jitsu. Her dad was like real big in the world of jiu-jitsu, and then they just ended up moving down there permanently. So she had been doing like trips to Brazil, trying to learn Portuguese and going down there and getting involved with the culture at a real influential point in her life, you know. And I've seen people go to England or something for a few months and then come back and they have a little bit of an English accent and stuff,
maybe,
you know,
maybe her English suffered because all she was doing was talking Portuguese for years.
Yeah.
But those videos though, she's older. She's at tournaments.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's all it is. It's funny in a vacuum.
Yeah, and it's funny because you could see the progression. Right. It's not like she just one day snapped. Like no.
Which leads you to believe that maybe it's genuinely we're literally watching someone lose their English before us. Like, that's kind of impressive almost. Like.
Yeah, it's crazy because she'll be looking for a word and not have it, and I'll be like, all right, so she's literally not just like adapted a accent, she's literally lost her English.
Is that even possible?
Right.
I don't know.
Right. That's what I was just thinking.
Do we know a linguist? Can we get a linguist on right now?
If I'm not mistaken, she had a translator with her before.
No chance. Are you serious?
I'm pretty sure. I can't. We got to put some respect on Mackenzie's
We need to call a linguist right now and have them on the show and ask them if it's possible for someone to literally lose an entire language.
Yeah. It's not like she had just like learned a little English. Like she was raised speaking.
She was speaking perfect English.
Yeah, perfect English.
With colloquialisms and stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is probably the dumbest investigation we could ever do.
For sure.
I feel like we should do it.
And we should invest resources.
Yeah, I feel like
manpower
we should break the truth about this because that video is just showing evidence.
Yeah.
But we need
It's a little tinfoil hat conspiracy theory video.
I think we need to find a way to do some DNA tests.
Mm-hmm. Some cranial X-rays.
Cranial
get like
X-rays.
A shape. We really need to know what the shape of her mouth is.
Here's what I want you to do. This is your homework for the week.
Okay.
I want you to watch every video ever made from a Brazilian.
Okay.
Every single one. Yeah. And I want you to find similarities in mouth structure when saying the same words that she usually says. So I want you to get her interview, write down all the words she says, and find every single Brazilian video that's ever said those words. Now, while you're doing that, I'm going to think about this for the week. So I'm going to think about it, meditate on it.
Yes.
And when we come together, what I've thought of and then what you've studied will come together.
Well, probably just our group consciousness, my discoveries will just, like, translate to you in your meditative state. Like, you'll just obtain them in the ether.
Sure, they'll float over to me somehow.
Anyways, with this main event we have.
Oh, yeah, that's right. There's a fight card Saturday?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Actually, co-main event. Coming off of a dominant 4-loss streak, we have Donald Cowboy Cerrone.
Getting thrown to the wolves again.
Getting thrown to the wolves. Nico Price, an absolute bundle of torque and violence. This man just knocks people out off his back like it's nobody's business. I'm not sure if you guys have seen. He had a guy on top of him. He goes under like a deep half guard type thing and rolls the guy up almost like he is about to split him into an X guard or something. Sorry to get so technical, but yeah, some deep half guard with his underhook on the leg, and then he has a hand free and just starts hammer fisting. The guy's head is over here. He has the guy's leg trapped here, his other leg trapped here, and the guy's head is over there. The guy's facing away from him. And he just starts smacking the dude on his jaw and knocks him unconscious with, the third punch, but hits him with, 5 or 6 and is hitting him, and he's he's out. And, yeah, he knocks the dude unconscious from a deep half guard.
And they say deep half guard doesn't work.
Yeah. So,
that's what I'm doing from now on.
It's crazy. And then he fought James Vick, and James Vick gets him down and comes flying in for some ground and pound, and Nico Price hits him with the up kick, and he falls right into Nico Price's guard, completely unconscious. And it's like, all right, this guy can just generate knockout force from places we've never seen it before.
From anywhere.
From the least desirable points and places in a fight, he has knockout potential.
I'm going to be super sad if he knocks Cowboy out. For sure.
Yeah, that being said, I want nothing more than to see Cowboy bounce back. In my mind, Cowboy fights 5 times a year until the day I die. Like, that's just life, you know. Like, Cowboy fights 5 times a year, and that's that, you know. Like, so to see Cowboy get derailed right now, somebody asked him a question that didn't sit well with me in the digital conference yesterday, and they were like, coming off 4 losses, do you think that just based off your name and what you've done that you get to fight in the UFC for as long as you want, or do you think like if you lose some more, like there's gonna be an issue? And he's like, I don't know, but like that just put it in perspective for me. Like, just not that long ago, we saw a guy like BJ Penn at around the same age as Cowboy lose 7 straight, and people like screaming from the rooftops like, stop this, why are we letting this guy fight?
But it's gonna happen quick for Cowboy if he keeps losing.
Cowboy, right? And I don't know if you saw this, the next question or the question before, they then ask him about what he thinks about Khamzat calling him out, and he says, let's do it, man. And I'm like, Cowboy, brother, he smashed you. You know this, brother.
You're supposed to pretend you didn't hear the question.
No, yeah, you're like, oh, who? Oh, no, I don't know this guy. No.
Speaking of Khamzat, he fights this weekend.
Yeah.
But I think he's running into a very sturdy opponent. A confident, experienced martial artist. Now, do not get me wrong. I think you have to be dense in the brain to pick against Khamzat, especially after what he's shown you. But this is his first actual fight, in my opinion. In my opinion, this is his first opposition that you say, okay, he does that to this guy. We'll say, all right, he's ready for like a top 15er. I don't think he needs another tune-up fight after this. He's had 3 really quick turnarounds, and this guy is experienced. That's the thing about it, is his fights. Like, the experience matters to me. Like even if he's not nearly as skilled, all that experience makes up for some lack of skill. It makes him a little better. Does it make him better than Khamzat? Probably not. But he's not fighting a guy that's 7-0, first fight in the UFC, or a guy who we've never seen fight before. He's fighting somebody who has experience, who actually genuinely talks as if they believe they can win. Not just I always expect to win every time I go in there. No, like, this person actually expects to hurt Khamzat.
Yeah.
Now, will it matter? Technique wins at the end of the day. But that kind of attitude, mentality, I don't think any of those other guys had from Khamzat had. Those other guys that fought him, because those other guys were just trying to like prove that they belonged in the UFC. Yeah. Whereas this guy believes he does. Believes that this guy does not belong in the UFC. So there's a little bit of a dynamic play. But in the end, I think Khamzat has such a specifically dominant style that we've seen in multiple weight classes work towards success. Usman, Habib, GSP even a little bit. And now we're seeing with Khamzat, where it's the wrestle and ground and pound and control you until you can't breathe, and then suffocate you with a choke or punch you till you turn around and the ref has to stop it. But he's coming up against somebody who is going to fight him, is not worried about him in that way.
I see that you saved yourself when you said not worried. Now I agree with you. And I think that's exactly why this is a terrible fight, and I think that Khamzat is going to absolutely steamroll this guy.
Really?
This guy is not worried. This guy thinks he has good jiu-jitsu. If you think your jiu-jitsu is going to beat Khamzat, don't come.
Right.
Don't come to the fight. Your jiu-jitsu is irrelevant, brother. He smashed you, brother.
No, I don't know, bro.
You're not doing jiu-jitsu, brother. He get you against the cage, brother. He ride one leg. He has no weight on the floor, just on you, brother. And he smashed. He floats the whole time. That's not jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is pressure. Khamzat floats on you. Khamzat is wrapped in your limbs and floating on you. You're the thing touching the ground. Khamzat is riding you until you die, and then he finishes you. Like, Khamzat is not doing jiu-jitsu. If you try and do jiu-jitsu on Khamzat, you're going to accept bad positions and you are going to get smashed very fast. This guy, you watch him fight Jack Hermanson. This guy will accept guard. This guy will sweep guys and then get swept back and get into a jiu-jitsu match. You can tell this guy just rolls. This guy goes and does jiu-jitsu blindly and just hops in a class and does jiu-jitsu. He doesn't do jiu-jitsu to fight. He does jiu-jitsu. So this guy, you can't do jiu-jitsu and expect to have any success against Khamzat. Like, he's going to kill this guy. And I think the fact that this guy thinks that his grappling is anywhere close to an issue for Khamzat is a total delusion.
Okay, but in fairness, we haven't seen anybody try to do jiu-jitsu with him. Everybody else has been trying to get up.
Brother, because he's not doing jiu-jitsu.
Right, he's wrestling,
right.
And he's controlling, and he, like you said, he's floating, which is true. But we haven't seen anyone develop an attack for that kind of...
It's not even wrestling, it's Khabibing. When you watch what wrestlers do, it's not this. What Khabib does is something different. He's evolved this thing where he rides legs and limbs. He wrist rides and tangles up your legs.
Yeah.
Their leg entanglements and their wrist rides are something completely different than what everybody else is doing.
Specifically the legs.
Specifically the legs. Usman does it a little. Khabib and Khamzat do it to a whole nother level that Usman is not even close to.
Doesn't.
And it's...
Damn, though, but man. What if Gerard tries to attack his legs?
It doesn't matter. He's never... There's no attack. Like, yeah, you can attack his legs. But... I don't know. It's just like getting to that point is going to be so hard because you're not in jiu-jitsu exchanges. He's not going to half guard and playing normal half guard. He goes to half guard and he's floating, so now you're rolling into a Dars. He doesn't play a jiu-jitsu half guard where you can get underneath him and go for his leg. Like, yeah, you could try and go underneath him because he's floating, but the way he floats, you can't really get to his legs the way you would want.
He's also very violent. And he rains down punches, which changes everything. He's not just... Like, Khabib has a sequence. Like, he controls, he waits, he gets his control, then he beats.
Yes.
Like, Khamzat is, like, beating your face as much as he can throughout that whole time. Like, he's raining down punishment on you. But, man, this guy, like... I'm not saying he's going to win. I'm not going to pick him.
Yeah, no.
But I think we'll see Khamzat face a little adversity.
You think this goes the distance?
No.
No?
Khamzat finishes.
Okay.
But he's gonna. But I feel like Khamzat. I don't think Khamzat can. I don't know, man. I think this guy can present a problem for Khamzat in terms of being very durable and very resilient, and a little harder to control.
Yeah, he has shown to be a real tough guy.
Yeah, and he's a little harder to control. Transitive properties have to suggest this. Like, if you're really good on the ground, even if you can't get any offense off, you're at least going to be good at defense. I have to assume this guy's going to at least be able to defend his neck and be able to kind of scramble a little bit. He's not just going to be stuck. Is he going to be able to get submission attempts on Khamzat? Probably not. But is he just going to be on all fours, desperately trying to get up and have nothing for him? Dude,
I think...
hard to believe that.
You got to remember, too, Khamzat, like, the UFC knows things we don't know. And they've got him booked to fight Damian Maia in 2 weeks. So what do you think this guy has for Khamzat on the ground? Khamzat's fighting Damian Maia in 2 weeks.
I forgot.
We're 2 weeks out from a Khamzat fight. And we're 2 days out from a Khamzat fight.
They literally think Gerard can do nothing against
Nothing.
him. Wow.
Nothing.
I'd be pissed if I were him.
Oh, he is. But Khamzat, they asked Khamzat about, like... Because that guy, Gerald, whatever his name is, he, sorry, I don't mean to be, like, so
I think I've been calling him Gerard this whole time, and I'm over here giving him so much credit, and I might be getting his name wrong.
I'm the biggest Gerard fan.
I'm an idiot. If his name is not Gerard, then I'm so sorry. He's going to feel even more disrespected.
Yeah,
as he should.
You're taking everything he works for.
I did.
So, this brings us into... our
Main event.
last divergence. No, the main event we'll touch a little bit, but Khamzat comes from that region we mentioned earlier in the show, that Dagestani region. You know, he's from Chechnya, but that area that breeds Khabibs of the world, the Zabits of the world, you know, just those hardened individuals. You know, what we've seen in the past from Brazil, what that tough environment breeds in the fight game and other sports. You know, like just these tough environments, the Cubans, what they're able to do with that program structure they've built and just the struggle of the country they're in. You know, we see these war-torn and like politically or socially like scorched or oppressed societies that are like freshly traumatized or hardened by their environment, and we see them go on and achieve like dominance, greatness, like an air of invincibility, you know, like. And so my question for you is that environmental pressure, those stresses of a war-torn or societal or like governmental oppression, like is just that, you know, or just, you know, in the Americas, you know, growing up in poverty and like an abusive household or around drug, gang violence, all these different things, crime, you know, like does that environment breed greatness? You know, obviously that environment doesn't absolutely breed greatness, but it seems like absolute greatness comes from that environment. So it's like all the greatest, not to say all, like this is a proposition, it seems like a lot of the greatest people of their field, their time, whatever, have come from these very less than ideal circumstances to achieve what people think is impossible. So,
well, two things come to mind. Desperation is the success motivated by a desire to never return to wherever they came from, and therefore they're more desperate to do things that other people might not be willing to do because they have something to fall back on. Like, I work a full-time job and it makes me pretty okay money. I'm getting a master's degree. I'm never going to have the level of desperation as somebody who has literally nothing else going on but a particular task. Like a rapper who is completely sold out to just rapping. I rap. I do music. I was just writing music last night. But I will never have the desperation to go do things that maybe compromise my ethics or to go hustle for longer hours than I have to because I have something to fall back on. So there's desperation. There's also just being hardened by adversity, and most great things require adversity. And if you've literally been habitually accustomed to being in adverse scenarios and having to be resilient, you're probably going to be resilient in sports and in these events. So I think of that. At the same time, I wonder if that's not enough though to be transcendent, because all the transcendent greats, a lot of them didn't come from bad backgrounds. Michael Jordan, 2-parent household, very close to his dad. Tom Brady, I imagine the same, super close to his dad. Peyton Manning, let's see, and you look at other athletes, and they did come from adverse scenarios, but not like LeBron James came from a single parent home, but he was very well supported growing up. He had a close knit group of friends. He wasn't like he didn't grow up in a drug infused
I think
upbringing.
He did. Yeah, LeBron.
But LeBron wasn't on the streets.
LeBron was kind of in the streets. I think the house that LeBron was living in high school was owned by a drug dealer.
Yeah, but LeBron wasn't involved. LeBron just played ball.
Yeah, but that was because all the drug dealers around him were protecting him because he was the chosen one.
Oh, really?
But
where'd you hear this?
He has a show on ESPN Plus with him and
barbershop one?
him and Mav. It's called More Than an Athlete. And
oh wow, so he talks
they go
about
deep,
that.
yeah.
Because I saw his documentary and it had no indication of that.
Yeah, he moved out and lived in this house in his neighborhood, but he had like his own house in the neighborhood, and his mom lived on the same block as him, but he had his own house in high school.
So they were protecting him.
So yeah, he had like his safe haven, and the whole community, had their eye out for LeBron. But with that being said, he grew up in the storm. He was just like in the center of the storm. So there's calm in the eye of the storm, and I feel like
makes sense.
so I feel like he did have the environmental pressures, and like I feel a lot of greats have had that.
I guess we have to grade what we mean by environmental pressures, because if it's socio-political things like growing up in poverty, then generally black athletes are going to have that.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about adversity like abuse and trauma, like having grown up in something where you've literally experience a lot of sequence of traumatic events, somebody can grow up in poverty and not necessarily see that. Just grow up poor, but not see their friends die or see, or see their country, transformed before their eyes. But I feel like to be great and transcendent great, you have to be comfortable with adversity. And maybe what happens is the greatest athletes who have never had it, who did not have it early in their life, like everybody on earth has had adversity, but the greatest athletes who have grown up with less adversity, less environmental stressors, have had to learn to interact with adversity later, whereas these other athletes already know how to interact with adversity.
Yeah.
But is that the key to being great, or is it always the combination of interaction with adversity and hard work and dedication? Both of those things have to exist, and you can be very resilient and lazy.
Yeah.
You can be very resilient and not necessarily be excellent at working hard. But does it translate to the fight game? I feel like if there's any sport it would translate to, it would be fighting, because most of these adverse places, you're fighting. Like either for your life or you're literally always in combative scenarios. Like Jorge Masvidal is a good example of somebody who has been fighting his entire life. Like fighting is immediately adverse from like the bell. There's not a moment where there's no adversity. Granted, there's levels of adversity. Like some people, if you get caught, it's more adverse than having someone in front of you fainting.
Right.
But there's always somebody attacking you, and therefore it's automatically
you
adverse.
have a literal adversary.
If this happened anywhere else, it would be a big adversity test for you and a big event, and you'd probably be very afraid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're constantly interacting with death and pain and suffering, and some people literally have been interacting with that their entire life.
Yeah.
Some people have not. So fighting actually, I think, gives the opportunity. People who get into fighting, it gives the people who didn't have that growing up that golden quality that suffering brings that nobody wishes. We don't wish poverty upon anyone or trauma, but it's absolutely true that from those things grow flowers.
For sure.
From those things we get the quality of resilience, the quality of perseverance. Now, if you didn't have some of those things growing up and you never got to plant the seeds of perseverance because you never had to suffer greatly, fighting offers you the opportunity to practice.
Yeah.
To literally practice suffering.
And I think that I wanted to make this transition to and dial it back from being so broad with sports and, bring it a little more specific with fighting too. Because I think sports, it proves to be true, but in a lot of sports, we're dealing more with games than we are combative, it's easy to walk onto a tennis court and not really feel anything between the person you're going against.
Right.
There isn't really real adversity. You might be off your game or you might have the stresses of performance, but it's not the same thing.
No.
It's different. But there are different layers of that adversity, and I think that what you're saying is all on point. Just being being groomed by that in life. It's way easier to deal with adversity in a fight or something that is very real, but is just in the moment, and it's just what is the task at hand. Whereas when you're dealing with adversity with, say, your significant other or your parents, and you haven't talked to your mom in a couple weeks because of a nasty argument, or you really, ruined a relationship with somebody at work, and now you just have this weird energy you're dealing. Those adversities that are really in your life are way worse than just losing a game that then after you lose, the people around there care or whatever, but once you get back to real life, it's all right, I'm back to real life, that's gone. But when you're trapped in it, when your life is the adversity, you start to see this different thing. When you see, you mentioned Masvidal, when you mentioned what we brought the topic up with Khamzat, you see them in the fight, and you can tell that isn't hard for them. They're not they don't feel they're in danger in there. They're in there playing a game. It's like they're in a tennis match. Like they don't care about the thing at hand, whereas a lot of people with the skills and, who have seemed to be living the life for this their whole life, and they've been training since they were 8 years old on this strict regimen, and they haven't been involved in any outside negative forces in the world because they've been, sheltered from those things.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem to work out for those guys.
No.
Look at Sage Northcutt. The guy can do a triple spinning backflip kick and punch the speed of light and looks the way he looks, but can't beat guys in the UFC. He goes over to ONE FC and they give him this kickboxer, and he just gets his face literally shattered. You give these guys who haven't had that adversity, they could have all the skill in the world, but you give them a real dog, you give them somebody who really has come up through it, and it's it's something else to it,
Yep.
And even GSP, for example, it's the thing that he credits his whole career from is that feeling he felt from feeling vulnerable as a child and deep insecurity. So it's he grew up in a suffering, whether it was real or not, whether he lived in the nicest gated community and had the richest parents in the neighborhood, which I don't know at all. But he could have been the most privileged kid in the world. But if that suffering is what his experience was, it's real. And you or I can't say it isn't. Just because you grew up in a royal palace or you grew up in a Section 8 housing, the kid in the royal palace might have had a worse struggle because he might have had... There's a million evil things that could happen to you.
It's possible that somebody with more privilege could actually suffer more than somebody with less because they might be experiencing the height of their suffering. So it doesn't matter whether it's comparable to somebody else's. If a kid is crying over a teddy bear, to us it's nothing. It's just a teddy bear. But that's the most pain that kid's ever felt in his entire life.
Right. That kid loves that thing.
So a rich person having a relational problem, we might scoff at and say, really, that's what you're crying about? But that's the most pain they've ever felt. So they're literally bouncing back from the deepest of their pain.
Right.
Now, can life bring you pains deeper than you've ever felt? Sure. But somebody who's used to that is actually in less of a scenario to buckle than this person.
Somebody who comes from a broken life who's used to relational trauma in their life. They're used to having 3 bad things going on in their life all at the same time, regularly. So it's
I'm more impressed with the guy like a GSP or other guys like that who find a way to make it great in fighting, even though they know that's not the only thing they have.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's super impressive because that means that they are dedicated to suffering. They're willing to just suffer.
Yeah.
That's why I really don't think I don't know if we'll ever see Conor McGregor back.
Mm.
I don't know. I feel like at some point you've suffered, and it's why would I go suffer some more?
Yeah.
Because fighting is fun, and he makes a lot of money, and he loves fighting, but fighting is suffering.
Yeah.
So why would you go through all that suffering if you're not literally committed to suffering? And if he comes back and has that season he's talking about, that's super impressive. He doesn't need to do anything else. He's set for life. His kids and grandkids are set for life, and yet he wants to willingly engage in suffering. You have to be a specific type of person to do that.
Yeah.
Some
Floyd
people have
Mayweather.
to do it. Yeah, Floyd is a good example.
Yeah.
Some people have to do it. Hickson Gracie had to do it.
Mm.
He was born in it. There was no other option. It was that or die.
Mm.
Learn jiu-jitsu or die. But other guys don't have to do it.
Yeah.
But they're committed to engaging in suffering because they see benefit in it.
Well, I think a lot of guys, their reality just doesn't tell them they have to do it, so they don't realize they have to do it. But a lot of people have some unexercised demons that have to do it, and they're killing themselves, and they don't even realize it. I have a lot of friends who don't even realize the things that they're battling internally. It's if you just trained or found a way to exercise those demons, you wouldn't have this internal turmoil, and it's some people just don't even realize what they are battling because they haven't been able to ever release it at all and even realize that they can get out of that. But
speaking of demons, let's talk about Colby Covington and
Let's.
Tyron Woodley.
Yeah.
This is about 2 years too late.
Yeah, that was my question for you. Too late? Too soon? Like,
Definitely,
what's with this fight?
100% too late. Still excited to see it, but all the fire is out of this one.
Yeah.
It was gonna be the Tyron Woodley, the rapper, the champion, the black guy versus Colby, they were gonna
MAGA hat wearing
racist,
white guy.
like they were gonna make it to where there was gonna be a black versus white thing, and you had somebody who represents black culture and somebody who represents literally the opposite. And you were gonna have the trash talk with fans. There's a lot of reasons why this is late. There's no fans. Woodley's on a losing streak. Colby just lost. Neither of them are champion. Neither of them are the most interesting fighters in that division, even because you have Masvidal and Usman. So it's too late, but it's like it's fashionably late at the same time, because who's not excited for Colby Woodley?
Yes, I think it's fitting to the times we're in, though. Because it's, like you said, there are so many pieces missing now. We don't have the title. We don't have it's too late. We don't have the press conferences. We don't have all these things around this fight. So it doesn't have the magic, because we just have the MAGA hat white guy and the rapping black culture representing African American. So it's like we have these two guys that just represent these two social topics fighting, and it's like those two social topics just are so overplayed right now, and nobody really, it's not doing it for anybody right now. I feel like,
but they're relevant.
It's relevant, but
coming
to
up
what
in November,
to what point is it relevant? Because it's like, yes, you might get a little buzz for a second, but you don't really get any relevant press off this stuff anymore. It's like everybody's talking about these topics, so now you're just getting lost in the wave and the masses. Like, they're just singing the same song as everybody right now, so there's nothing really intriguing about this fight. Simply the social dynamics between them isn't enough to even really get people that fired up over this fight. I think the hardcores are fired up over this card, because I think the hardcores have come around. A lot of people have learned to love Colby. Not the personality, but the fighter. I think a lot of hardcores have realized, like, all right, fuck, like, the bullshit aside, Colby's a badass. Like, Colby is a runaway freight train. Colby's a junkyard dog. Like, Colby's one of the baddest dudes on the planet. He, in his last performance against Kamaru Usman, win, lose, or draw, I think proved that he's the second best welterweight on the planet.
Might have won a decision had they let it go to decision.
Exactly.
That's how good that fight was. Got his jaw broken, lost, but might have actually gotten the decision.
Right.
Had they let it go on for, 30 more seconds or something like that?
Yeah. Whereas Woodley, having just gone to decision with the same guy, and then Burns obviously as well, but coming off of 2 decision losses, just in a bad spot, So it's like, we have a weird dynamic between the two of them. We have a weird dynamic with the things around them, the social things. But all that aside, like, as just a fight fan, I am so excited.
Yeah, I honestly, I've been wanting this fight for so long that I don't care that it's late. When I say it's too late, I'm thinking in terms of the general scope of promotion.
Yeah.
It's too late for promotion to have its promotional gravitas.
Wrong time, and the setting is off. We're not disappointing. We don't get Woodley and Covington sitting on opposite sides of a table bickering back and forth.
Wait a minute, we do.
When?
Today.
Whoa.
I think there's a presser today.
Whoa.
Look this up. There's a presser, a live presser with the two of them.
Okay.
I saw this on Instagram.
Hmm.
Look up Colby T. Wood presser and see what comes up. I think it's today. Today being Thursday, in case you're watching this another day.
So they did a digital press conference last night. I know that. Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh no, live in 6 hours. There's a press conference.
Yeah.
All right.
They're going to have a presser. We're going to have Colby and T. Wood interacting live.
Look at this. It's Smash Week.
Bro, Khamzat is a horrifying person. All right, let's do Fight Corner roll. Bro,
let's do it.
We're running out of time.
Let's do it.
I wrote some names on there.
Okay.
You could just use your original ones, but the last one I think is the Pixar one is the one I want to do.
Okay, mine hasn't updated with yours, so I'll give you my two, and then you can give me yours to close us out.
Perfect.
First one, we're going to go a little more serious. We're going to go Dan Hardy, Darren Till, Nick Diaz. 3 bad boys of MMA.
Gosh.
Some savages.
Well,
some BMFs.
My best chance would be against Darren Till because he's already been submitted.
Okay.
So I would just have to try to grapple him. I imagine he has some good grappling, but that's my best chance.
Okay.
So I'll fight Darren Till. I would like to corner Dan Hardy just to scream "Stop the fight!" Literally from when the bell rings to when the fight's over and over again.
Just throw the towel in immediately. Like,
and then,
are you ready? Are you ready? And throw the towel in. Yeah.
But obviously, I have to roll with Nick Diaz.
Yeah.
Like, that's obvious.
Yeah,
like,
you got to go to Stockton and train at the Nick Diaz Academy and get that roll in.
Get a marijuana habit and time and just 100%. Adapt to my environment.
All right, so I'm gonna go. That's tough. The tough one for me is I want to corner all these guys. I think a fight week with any of these 3 guys would be so much fun. But with that being said, I think Dan Hardy's just gonna give me a little more insight. I think I'm gonna get a little more out of a fight week with Dan. Nick, I would love to hang out with Nick and get a vibe, but a week with him, I don't know about that.
You're gonna get roped into a brawl.
Yeah. So Darren Till would be hilarious and amazing to hang out with for a week, but I feel like I would just learn more from a week with Dan. So I'm gonna go Dan Hardy. I'm gonna corner Dan. Oh, that's tough. Out of fighting Darren or Nick, that's real tough because it's like, which one's a bigger name nowadays? That would be tough.
Nick, come on.
Yeah, in present day MMA culture, I don't know. I feel like the casuals haven't seen Nick, and the casuals haven't seen Nick.
One promo fixes that because they.
For sure. All right. That being said, I'm fighting Nick. I'm fighting Nick. Cornering Dan. I'm gonna roll with Darren, see what he's really got on the ground. I'm curious. See what he's just.
Choke him.
Oh, I'm gonna strangle that boy. All right. So now I got a good one for you. This is some of the would it be polygamist? That's with multiple wives, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the polygamist, I don't even know what you define him as. The enigma, Joe Rogan. It's his sister wives. So I have a list of his sister wives for us to choose from. Young Jamie, Eddie Bravo, and his UFC sister wife, John Anik. All his side hoes was really my main description of it. Like, he's got his wife who he doesn't even expose to the world, and then he's got his side hoes on every platform.
Okay, now
so,
I understand.
Young Jamie, Eddie Bravo, just his BFF, and John Anik, which would have been Goldie back in the day.
Right.
But, John Anik, Young Jamie, Eddie Bravo.
You go first.
You gotta roll with Eddie Bravo, I feel like. But at the same time, it would be fun to see what John knows. And Jamie, I don't know. That's tough. I can't fight Jamie. I gotta just chill with Jamie, I feel like. So I'm cornering young Jamie for the week. Seeing who's the man behind the greatest show on earth, you know? I'm going to fight John Anik. I'm going to fight John Anik. I want to fight the UFC guy, So they're going to be building John up in that fight, but I'm going to steal that hype.
Yeah. You're going to smash.
Yeah, I'm going to smash this guy. And that leaves me rolling with Eddie Bravo. You got to. Yeah.
It's hard to beat.
You got to roll with Eddie Bravo.
So, I think Eddie Bravo's been on our fight corner.
Yeah, I
before,
think he has.
And I think I cornered Eddie Bravo or I fought him. I don't remember. Actually, I might have hung out with him. So I am going to fight young Jamie because young Jamie sounds a little pretentious. Sounds like a guy who
thinks he's young.
Yes,
like,
he sounds like
grow up.
He's in his late 30s.
Peter Pan.
What I don't like about young Jamie, and I don't know him, so I don't know why I'm insulting him.
Be careful, Uncle Joe's listening.
No, Uncle Joe. That's the Archduke of podcasting. He understands what I'm about to say. Sometimes Jamie comes off as like pretentious, He Googles stuff and he fact checks people. Jamie's like that. Young Jamie's like that type of guy who you're having a conversation, you're at a restaurant, and he's like, actually, and he gives you the facts, and you don't want that. He's right. Don't get me wrong. But he's the type of guy who's going to fact check.
Right, you were sounding good, making yourself a fool out of yourself.
Exactly, but he comes in and corrects you.
Right.
And no, I can't have that. So I'm going to fight him. I'm going to, roll with Eddie Bravo. I mean, why would I roll with John Anik? I mean, he might commentate the moves, which would be good.
Yeah. John Anik's really only in this because I was trying to think of who Rogan's side hoes are.
I'm cornering John Anik because... just like when you hang out with these other fighters, you get to see all the people around them. If you corner John Anik, you're literally in with the UFC now.
Yeah.
In.
Yeah.
So I'm getting all my friends' fights.
And you're getting introduced to everybody because everybody's coming to say what's up to John.
Everybody loves John Anik.
Yeah.
So if I'm with him, it's like by association, we can...
You're in there.
Heck yeah.
Okay.
All right, this is mine.
All right.
Buzz Lightyear, Woody, or Mr. Potato Head?
Dang.
Yeah. That's a tough one. I'm going to go first. So, I feel like all of these guys have a dog in them. I feel like all of these guys have some technical expertise. I mean, Mr. Potato Head can literally take his limbs off. Like, you're not taking anything from him he hasn't already taken from himself.
Wow.
So you can't roll with a guy like that because how are you going to armbar him? It's just going to plop out. And then he's just going to smash you. Woody... is like a wacky, wavy, inflatable, arm-flailing tube man. Like, he has no joints. He's just cotton. You can't snap cotton.
He's Sean O'Malley.
He's Sean O'Malley.
He's elusive and soft.
Literally elusive and soft. Buzz Lightyear, though, can fly and can shoot you with his laser.
He can fall with style. You remember that scene? This ain't flying, Woody. This is falling with style.
So I feel like a guy like Buzz, you don't want to fight. But here's what I'm gonna do. I'm fighting Mr. Potato Head. I feel like I can punch him hard enough that his eyes pop out, and then he can't see where I am. I am rolling with Woody.
Okay.
Because I can't really do anything to him. I can't hurt him because he doesn't have any blood.
That makes sense.
But he also probably can't hurt me because...
he has a string.
He does have a string that he can
choke. So that's easy grips. No.
Oh, I could use it.
Yeah.
Ah. That's right.
I don't know what you do with it, but like I don't know, wrap stuff up with it. Yeah, like
lapel guard. And then Buzz, I'm gonna have to corner because I want to go to space. I've never been to space.
Yeah,
Did you
fight
know that?
camp.
Yeah.
You haven't been?
No.
Where'd you get that shirt?
Target.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. And on Earth? Target and Earth?
Yeah, the Target on Earth. I
Okay.
haven't been to the Target on Venus.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
But, yeah, I'd like to go to space and meet Zurg. I mean, Zurg seems so cool.
That's crazy.
Should have put Zurg on there.
No, I'm kind of pissed you brought him up because that was my key to victory here. So, first of all, I'm just going to say it. I'm fighting Buzz.
No.
I'm fighting Buzz.
No, you're not.
I swear to God.
No chance,
No rap cap. I'm fighting Buzz with Woody, low-key, Buzz's arch rival, and Buzz's real arch nemesis, Evil Emperor Zurg. In my corner.
In your corner?
Evil Emperor Zurg and John Danaher wearing a purple rash guard.
You're going to shake him. You're going to shake him from the beginning.
Oh, yeah. I'm coming out with Zurg and John Danaher behind me, looking virtually identical. And
wow. But look, here's the problem, right? You're going to have to find a solution for this.
Wow.
This is going to be a problem.
Well, see, this is great, because now I'm just getting free game right now.
Hold on, though, because he can turn it this way, too.
No way.
So, I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But you're going to have Woody and Zurg in your corner.
I'm going to have Woody and Zurg. Woody quite literally knows everything about Buzz, and Zurg has seen Buzz in the battlefield, knows how he fights, knows his mindset in war. You know, like, I've got some real insight here in my corner.
Wow.
And, yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know. Call me crazy, but I'm winning via stoppage in the second round. Yeah. And I gotta corner my boy Woody. Woody is my guy. Yeah. Woody, from day one, I was a Woody guy.
Yeah.
Over Buzz, I always was Team Woody since
people slept on Woody
since the jump. And I wanted to be a cowboy when I was a little boy because of Woody. I wore cowboy boots every single day for an extended period of time. When I was 3 years old, I would just every day put cowboy boots on with just basketball shirt. It was not a redneck, nothing. To this day, I hate boots. You will never see me wear a pair of boots. Like, boots and me there's none of that. We don't do that. Me and boots, nope. Even Dora's cousin, don't fuck with them. Me and boots.
Anything related to boots.
Yeah, no, Boots is the monkey. Diego's the cousin. But yeah, either way, Boots, no go. So me and Boots don't get down like that. But I wore boots every single day because of Woody. Even wrote Nana on the bottom.
That's inspiration.
Because my Nana, I lived with her, and she took care of me, and Woody had Andy, so I was like, well, if they lose me, they'll take me back to Nana's now. So the bottom of my boot said Nana.
That's honestly adorable.
Yeah.
I just want you to know that.
Yeah. It was the cutest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, you'll never beat that.
Never.
That wins.
I let my cousin wear them to school one day.
That's kind.
Yeah, and I didn't wear socks with them a lot of the time, which is not kind or forgiving or empathetic by any means.
This means you're rolling with Mr. Potato Head?
This means I'm rolling with Mr. Potato Head. But look.
How?
The thing is, what do? You can't fight the guy. He's got no chin. He's literally starchy carbs. He is carbohydrates in a circular, dense form.
Yes.
With detachable limbs and eyes and whatnot. Like, you literally can't even eye gouge. He'll just pop them off. Like, he's got that trunk thing in the back that could literally just
I didn't think of that.
Engulf your whole body. And then he can pull other limbs out of said trunk. You don't know what you're getting into with him. So I can't fight him in an MMA rule set.
No.
And I can't live with that guy for a week. You know he smokes cigarettes, and his wife is fat and obnoxious. And, like, I'm not going to be around those two gluttons. Like, they are just full of carbs and literally just bring extra limbs with them everywhere they go.
Yeah.
They are just, I got to roll with them, smash them. We're having mashed potatoes, baby.
All right.
That's it.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you next week on another episode of Disciples of Combat.
Os.
And go Heat.
Fun times. Enjoy the show, the fights.